Hello everyone, Ember Power here and welcome back to a new video. In this one I'm going to be taking a look at the set Triple Beat. So basically Triple Beat is an expansion set that will join with Snow Hazard and Clay Burst to form Paldea Evolve on June 9th, which is our second main Scarlet and Violet set. So this is like one of three mini sets essentially that will become one big set. So I wouldn't expect to see all of these cards in our next set. In fact, I think majority of these like smaller Pokemon might get cut. But of course, we'll have to wait until a full set list before, confirming that. But anyway, just getting into some reveals, it's also worth noting that we don't have all the secret rares fully revealed yet. We'll have to wait until next week to see all of them. So this amazing artwork for Magikarp, which is probably one of the best artworks for Magikarp we've ever seen. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait until next week to see all of them, so a bit unfortunate, but the ones revealed so far are pretty good, so it's a good sign of things to come. So if we scroll down to the main translations, and we should be able to get started. So kicking things off, we have a Trapias, which is bulk. Don't need to spend any more time on Trapias. Fungus, absolutely adorable. I love the design on some of these. See if it'll load. Come on. Doesn't always load. There we go. Bit slow there. We've got Fungus over here with the Attack Vine design, Search Your Depth for Grass Pokemon. It's pretty bad, but yeah, artwork's lovely. Very cute card. Same with the Moongus. Lovely artwork, but the attack, 60 damage for 2 energy, flip a coin of heads, Polarises. Like, these attacks should just not exist anymore. They're just so bad. Like, if this did 60 damage and then 2 damage counters of poison in between turns, it would still probably wouldn't see any play. So doing 60 damage plus potential Polarises, yeah, terrible card. Then we get into Sprigatito, or Sprigatito, however you pronounce these names. Honestly, I don't care. Gather Sunshine attack, allowing you to search your deck for 2 basic energy cards. It's alright, it's going second attack goes. Probably want to use Mew though, if you're playing an evolution deck. But still, it's okay. We've also got a 70 HP Sprigatito actually, which is probably what you're going to be playing most of the time. Then we've got a Floragato, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, which is okay. And then Mew Squad EX, which is probably the best EX in this like expansion set. So 310 HP, which is pretty decent for stage 2. I believe Godvor has 310. Weakness to fire is okay because, Terrestrial Arcanine may or may not see play, so you only have that to worry about, really. Has the ability Magic Bouquet that says you must discard a grass energy from hand in order to use ability. Once in your turn, you may choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and put 3 damage counters on it. So assuming you've got, 3 of these out in play, you could potentially place 9 damage counters on one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So you could use this to set up, finish off KOs, snipe some evolving basics, snipe stuff like Flaffy in a Miraidon deck. So yeah, really solid ability. I really like this. Also synergizes quite nicely with the attack. Nail Scratch for 2 colors. Does 100 damage, and if they're already damaged, then you do 220 instead. So 220 plus the 30, and then a Choice Belt or a Defiant Band will get you up to 280. So nice things to consider. Also, requiring 2 colors means you can use Double Turbo or just use Basic Energy and Raihan. So yeah, a lot of options here. Do like this card a lot. Is it going to be very competitive? Hard to say at this point in time because the Evolving Basic and the Stage 1 don't really add anything to the deck. So we'll have to see how consistent this can be with just, rare candies and stuff. But yeah, overall, truly not a bad card, I would say. It's pretty decent and certainly probably the best starter EX as well. So yeah, seems okay. Then we have a Nimble, which can protect itself for turns. Okay, another Nimble that does barely anything. Also got a Low Kicks over here. I think this was the first card ever revealed from Triple Beat. Has the attack Assault Kick for single grass energy. Does 30 damage if Pokemon evolved from Nimble during this turn. Does 100 more. So you can do 130. And someone did point out, when I said this was bad, someone did actually comment saying, well, if there was a EX that was weak to grass, then this would be pretty good. And fair enough, there is actually a fighting type Pokemon in this set, Lycanroc EX. It looks to be pretty good. And that is weak to grass and does have 260 HP, which is perfect. So if Lycanroc EX ever saw a ton of play, then Low Kicks could make it its way into decks, I guess. But 1 grass energy, stage 1, bit awkward, and 130 against any other attacker in the format is pretty bad because it's obviously not 2-hit killing anything without modifiers. There is a stadium later on that says your stage 1 Pokemon do plus 10 damage, so that is something to bear in mind. and that would allow you to swing for 140, so you could 2-hit KO V-Stars that way, but yeah, low kicks, nothing too crazy over here. Got a Paldea Taurus with one of the dopest artworks I've ever seen, with Fury Horn attack. It's kind of like Outrage, basically. In fact, this is like more or less identical to Kyurem, I think, from Black and White. 20 damage and then 10 more for each damage counter on this Pokemon. 130 HP, it just means that you're not surviving a hit, really. Back in those days, Pokemon EX were doing like 120 damage and stuff. In this day and age, Lugia V-Star swings for 220, so if you can't tank a hit, I should say, then Outrage attackers aren't very good. And that's the same for the other Paldea Taurus, because I believe there's at least 2 more, so yeah, but unfortunate. Also got a clay model for Larvesta, which is absolutely amazing. I need 4 of these. But then we get to Volcarona, and then the realization sets in that we're getting yet another Volcarona card. Why? We had so many in the Soul and Shield era, and it's kind of like there's so many Pokemon that need additional cards. There's also loads of Scarlet and Violet Pokemon that still haven't had the first Pokemon card yet, and we're getting another Volcarona. Sheesh. But yep, we've got a Pyro over here, which is unfortunately pretty bland. 60 damage, 20 snipe. Should not be a thing in this day and age. Don't want to have to keep repeating myself, but yeah, really bad attack. Oricorio does have a pretty useful ability, actually. Passionate Dance. During a turn, you may heal 20 damage from your active evolution Pokemon. So you are only healing your evolution guys, which, it's a bit less than Radiant Tracina, which will healing all of your Pokemon. But then again, if you want to heal your evolutions and you want to run a different Radiant that's not Tracina, or maybe you want to play Tracina as well as this, then this is a good option. So, healing 20 damage doesn't seem like much, but it might fix some mass. Also can help with dealing with stuff like Sableye and spread decks in general. So, yeah, pretty big fan of Oricorio. Seems alright. We got a Fuecoco. Oh, it's adorable. He's just in the shopping cart picking out the apple. Yeah, it's adorable. Got a Crocodile, I think that's how I pronounce his name. And then Scarlet EX, 340, so he is the bulkiest EX Stage 2 Pokemon we've seen. This is the highest HP I think we've ever seen on a 2-prize Pokemon, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, Scarlet setting new boundaries out here. But has 2 attacks, Vitality Song, 50 damage, heal 30 from each of your Pokemon. It's okay in combination with like Radiant Tracina and that Oricorio we just looked at. You could definitely combine this with potions and start doing some shenanigans. Probably better to just combine it with Cheryl, because the second attack for 2 Phalanx does 270, but 10 less for each damage counter on this Pokemon. We have to look at this in a sense that for 2 Phalanx you can do 270. Now, assuming your opponent doesn't get the first hit in, this is really good. It just allows you to hit 270. You use this into a V or a V star, you take 2 prize cards, they hit you. You then Cheryl, you Magma Base into the next Skelridge, attach energy, switch it over. There's Armorage as well. You could use a different attacker if you really wanted to. There's a lot of different things you could do with this card. I think the potential's there for it to be pretty good. Retreat cost of 3 is, well, it's just terrible. Frankly, in this day and age, it means we can't use Air Balloon synergy, even if Air Balloon was still in format, I should say, because Air Balloon would have rotated by the time this comes out. But yeah, pretty awkward retreat cost. Weakness kind of sucks, but yeah, decent attacks overall, and seems like a solid card. Paldea Taurus is unfortunately going to be another one of these outrage style attackers. Pretty cool that they all have the same kind of theme going on, but yeah, unfortunately pretty underwhelming stuff. Then we have the legendary Magikarp artwork. I think this could be one of the big chase cards from this massive set. Also is not the worst Magikarp attack either. Then we get to Gyarados with the attack Revenge Storm. 1 water, 2 colors, 80. If you have more prize cards than main opponent, attack does 100 more damage. If we were ever to see like a triple counter energy reprint style card for single prize Pokemon, or Pokemon without Robux, then that'd be cool. Then maybe this could see playing a Zoroark deck, but 3 energy is just way too expensive in this day and age, so yeah, too slow. Delibird is just a theme deck Pokemon, but theme deck Pokemon aren't a thing anymore. Boizel, nothing interesting. Another Floatzel, jeez. Whirlpool Tail for a single water energy for the coin of heads, but your opponent's active Pokemon or cards attached to it back into their hand. Pretty sure there's already a stage 1 that sends it to their deck or discards it, but yeah, it's okay disruption, nothing too crazy. Then we've got the Quacks line. I'm not so big on this artwork. Feels like the background takes up most of the picture, but yeah, it's okay for starting artwork. We also got the Quaxwell, Is that how I pronounce his name? Quaxwell? I don't know that. Okay, so we've got Quaxwell, Quaxley, and Quilava. Has 320 HP, so a little bit more than Mew Squad, but not as tanky as your boy Skelridge. Has 2 attacks, Lively Samba and Propeller Shot. Lively Samba, 60, switches Pokemon one you're benched, and then your opponent switches theirs. So it's effectively a 60 damage, then Escape Rope. Is this good? It's okay. At least it combos with stuff like Miltank and will most likely, I mean 100%, we'll see some kind of basic that walls out EX Pokemon at some point. At least I would expect us to see something. So, being able to switch into one of those would be fine. So you can switch into a Miltank or whatnot. Seems okay, but yeah, 60 damage, nothing too crazy, but at least it sets up for Propeller Shot doing a 1-hit KO. Propeller Shot doing 230, put 2 energy from this Pokemon back into your hand. So 230 is not carrying anything, it's really awkward. It does knock out Evolving V's, but that's about it. But yeah, put 2 energy from this Pokemon into your hand, also fairly annoying. Thankfully, there is a single prize Quilava from Scarlet and Violet base set that can accelerate energy from your hand. So if you get 2 stage 2s in play, then you can chain these more efficiently, but that's a lot of work just to do 230. But at the very least, you return the energy, so you could Cheryl after attacking, and then Quilava manual attach, and then use Propeller Shot again, so at least there's some merits there. So yeah, doesn't seem too bad. Pretty niche, I would say. It's probably the worst of the 3, I would say, but yeah, have to see how that goes. We have a Waterloo, which is a pretty okay Pokemon. Now, this doesn't look too, it doesn't look too great at first glance, but it does have the attack of Dangerous Wings for 2 colors. Does 20 damage to each your Pokemon in the discard pile that has Dangerous Wings attack. If you've been playing Pokemon for any amount of time, you'll know that this attack sounds kind of familiar. It sounds a lot like Mad Party or Night March. Unfortunately, there's no other Pokemon in this set with the Dangerous Wings attack, which leads me to assume that they're saving the Pokemon with Dangerous Wings attacks for future sets. Now, there is a lot of bird Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet in the Paldea region, so I expect to see more of those Pokemon in the next few sets that have Dangerous Wings, hopefully, because if this is just a one-time effect for this Waterloo, then that's pretty funny actually. But yeah, it would be cool to see an effect like this. For a double turbo though, you're already doing 20 less, which is pretty bad, and because you're so squishy, Sableye will obviously destroy you. So will it be very good? I'm not sure, but I do like this attack. Then continuing the trend of cool Waterloo cards, we actually have a Waterloo here which might be okay in control. Devastating Wind, your opponent shovels a hand to a deck, draws 4 cards. It's okay, to be honest. It's not terrible. We've definitely had cards that do similar things in the past. Have they been good in control? Maybe, maybe not. It's just always something to bear in mind. Also, pretty good stats as well for something like Mini League or the Chunk League, so it's good to see as well. We then have a Killer Waterloo, which for 3 colors does 150, and during next turn you can attack. Fortunately, there's no real way to get 3 colors energy on here realistically. It's also got free retreat. This card's really good in EAB, to be honest, but is it good in the standard? Probably not. So at least we got a card for EAB. But yeah, standard, it's pretty bad. If we see that triple colorless counter energy reprint thing, then maybe Jetwing could be a good attack. But yeah, pretty underwhelming except for EAB. So then we have Mischievous, which is fine. Then we have Mismagius with the magical flick ability. When you evolve it, you may move an energy. Pretty bad, just because your opponent can readily accelerate energy, and there's always energy switch around. So yeah, unfortunately nothing too crazy. We also have a Spoink and Grumpig, which is unfortunately way too slow. Then we get to Denex EX, which has 170 HP. It's a Terrestrial Pokemon. I really hope this is not the end of the Terrestrial mechanic. I know a lot of people are saying just be patient, just wait, they'll change the typing. But this is the second set, and we've not seen anything. A little bit worried, to be honest, but yeah, we'll have to see if the Terrestrial mechanic really is just bench damage immunity. But 2 attacks, Tail Swap and Wonder Shot. Tail Swap for 2 Psychic says move all damage counters from one of your bench Pokemon to your opponent's active. So the exact same attack as, I believe, a Wobbuffet from Battle Styles or something. So, it's an okay attack to have in God of War because, if your opponent damages you, then you want to retreat and then re-accelerate 2 energy to Dedenne, move all the damage off that Pokemon. But the thing is, none of your Pokemon are that tanky in God of War decks anyway, so I don't think Tail Swap is that useful. And then Wonder Shot doing 170, discard energy from this Pokemon. It's fine. I mean, it's alright, it's okay. You're not really KOing anything. You're 2-hit KOing stuff, which is nice, but when you're getting 1-hit KO back by most decks in the format, yeah, not too great, unfortunately. Don't think this Dedenne will be seeing a lot of play. Then we have an Arangur. Yep, another Arangur, another Pokemon that Pokemon seem to like printing a lot of. Tactician strategy, choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks. They can't use it during their turn. So it's kind of like the Ralts from Silver Tempest. This does it for 1 more energy, but it does 30 damage. Not sure if that's worth it, really. There's also better Arangurs to play, especially the one from Crown Zenith, so guess that's around. We see a Tinkatank line, which, spoiler alert, is pretty bad. Tinkatank has the ability to gather materials. You must discard a card from hand in order to use its ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 3. Pretty bad, just a bad ability overall, and it's also bad because there is a card from Astral Radiance, Hisuian Samurott, that has the exact same ability. Why is this bad? Well, it's just lazy card design. It's been barely a year, and they've already had to reuse an ability, so it's just like, yeah, very uncreative. I'm not impressed with Pokemon. I'd rather they had more creative abilities. You know, this could have been something like you draw a card for each of your evolution, Tinkertuff and stuff in play or something like that. Just something different and more interesting than, you know, copy and paste abilities from previous cards. But yeah, Special Hammer, 90 damage, has a special energy, 90 more. Yeah, pretty bad. Then we look at a Diglett Dugtrio line. 50 damage, 1 energy, really not going to be doing anything. Paldea Taurus is the last Taurus, I believe, or hopefully. It's the same Fury stuff, so not going to be good. Hariyama is a stage 1 that says all your Pokemon take 10 less damage from attacks. I mean, it's okay. There's certainly going to be some fighting decks that want to be more tanky, especially with the new Breastplate item card, so there's that to consider. But, you know, stage 1, going to have to devote at least 4 deck slots realistically, so yeah, probably not worth it. Then we see a Rockruff and Lycanroc EX with some amazing artwork, stuff of nightmares, and has 2 attacks. Rock Throw, doing 40 damage, 1 energy is okay, and then Scary Fang for 1 fighting, 2 colors, does 140. But during your opponent's next turn, if this Pokemon is damaged, you place 10 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. Pretty neat attack, even though Escape Rope and stuff is in the format and players can boss around and stuff. They won't be able to do that every single turn. So being able to just Scary Fang for 140 or 120 if you have a double turbo attached, then, you know, your opponent will swing into you and take 10 damage counters. What I really like about attacks like these is even if you boss Gust and KO the Pokemon, then whatever your opponent attacks you with always gets punished. So if you boss KO Manaphy, boss KO Mew or something for an easy prize card, whatever your opponent attacks with will always be taking that 100 damage counters. So I really like it in that sense. You can also modify Scary Fang to do more damage with stuff like Defiant Band and Choice Belt. So yeah, I think this is a pretty solid card overall. You could probably make some kind of quad deck out of it with Crushing Hammers, double turbos and stuff. So weakness to grass isn't too much of a problem. So yeah, pretty big fan of Lycanroc. We also have a Phalanx, 110 HP with the attack coordinated attack. 70 damage. If you have any Phalanx on your bench, this attack does 90 more damage. Solid damage output, but for 2 fighting, well, 1 fighting and 2 colors, it is kind of bad because you'll have to like Raihan every single turn and also have a double turbo, and at that point you're doing even less damage. So yeah, bit unfortunate, but you could do something with Claydol maybe. You know, it could be a Claydol partner, but yeah, doesn't seem too great. Then we see a Palden Wooper with some lovely artwork, and Palden Clodzar with the ability Poison Bog. It says once in your turn, if there's a stadium card in play, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned. And then Needle Bone does 200 damage, flip a coin of tails, this Pokemon can attack. A decent card overall. You're not really caring anything, even with the poison, so even if you factor in like Radiant, Sneasler, and Choice Belt, you're rarely KOing anything, so that kind of sucks. But I guess in some kind of quad tanking deck with Crushing Hammers, you know, you have access to Dark Patch and stuff. 280 HP is also pretty bulky for a Stage 1 EX, so that's nice to see. But yeah, pretty okay stats. It seems like a perfectly okay card, and there's plenty of stadiums as well to exploit, especially the ones that we're going to review at the end. So yeah, I'll say this is an okay card. Then we have Sableye with the attack Unseen Claw, 20 damage. If they're affected by a special condition, attack does 70 more. So you can do 90 damage. Is this ever good? I mean, you could do some stuff with Yellhorn. So like you Yellhorn, you switch into Sableye, you do 90 damage and Confusion, which is okay, I guess. But Probably needs something a bit more. Survivor doesn't do anything related to poison, which is a bit strange, but 50 damage if they're an evolution, 100 damage, very, very weak. Diano line, which is pretty bad. Yeah, Hydreigon says once you can turn, you may look at top 3 cards of your deck, touch any number of energy cards you find there, so you can accelerate special energy. However, you have to discard the other cards. Pretty bad when you have to get a stage 2 into play that's not exactly that tanky, so fortunately I don't see Hydreigon will be seeing any play. Salazzle, that's just complete bulk. Young Goose and Gumshoes, which are bulk. 60 damage, discard energy, yeah, it's pretty much bulk. Superior Energy Retrieval is a really good trainer card. Discard 2 cards from your hand and then you can retrieve up to 4 basic energies. Really solid. Just solid in stuff like Gardenia decks. Stuff like that Meow Squad, actually. Speaking of Gardenia, like the Meow Squad that wants to discard energy cards from your hand, you know, you get a bunch of them in play. You could Superior Energy Retrieval, back some energies to use. So, yeah, definitely a fan of that. Great Ball reprint, hopefully. I think that's a reprint. Yeah, seems pretty cool. And we have Dendra. Put 1 card from your hand at the bottom of your deck, then draw cards until you have 5 in hand. But you can't use it if it's the last card in your hand. So you have to use this. Wait, that's weird. So you have to... Alright, so you have to have at least 1 other card in hand to shuffle in. I think you can use this card when you have 1 other card. For some reason, like, the wording is throwing my brain for a loop here. But I think as long as you have at least 1 other card, you can shuffle that in and then draw 4. But either way, it's not brilliant, to be honest. Like, I think Judge is just better overall. Then we have Clavel. Search your deck for 3 basic Pokemon that have 120 HP or less. Put them into your hand. So, notable comparison to Gloria, which search your deck for 3 basic Pokemon without Robux, put them onto the bench. This is admittedly okay because it will obviously like trigger abilities that Gloria cannot trigger. So Hawlucha, for example, you wouldn't be able to trigger Hawlucha if you played a Gloria. So I guess there is some merits to Clavel, but personally I think the format's just too quick for something like this. We have Battle VIP Pass, we have Nest Ball, we have Level Ball. There's multiple ways of finding smaller basics. Don't think you need Clavel. Then we have Faulkner. Faulkner? It's been ages since I've seen any gameplay for these games. Faulkner? Is that who you are? Draw 2 cards. If you have a stadium card in play, draw 2 more. It's an okay effect in all honesty. There's definitely some decks that won't be playing heavy amounts of stadiums, so maybe as a 1-of or a 2-of, it could be okay. Then we have Boss's Orders Getsus, which is Boss's Orders reprints in Getsus form. That's nice. Then we have Arzentown and Lesson Studio as our stadiums. Arzentown says once during each player's turn, that player may search your deck for 1 basic Pokemon, excluding a rule box, and put it onto the bench. Really solid, very consistent. I think this is like a 5 out of 5 stadium, I'd say. Especially for, you know, single prize decks that, yeah, just want to set up and stuff. I think this is a really solid stadium. Then we have Lesson Studio. It says the attacks of each player is stage 1. So not V-Stars or V-Max, just EX and stage 1 Pokemon. Do 10 more damage. Really solid. There's definitely some stage 1s that I look at and think, well, this just needs a bit more damage to be good. So Lesson Studio could definitely help. Problem is, it does have to compete with Arzentown. So I could definitely see a split where you play like 2 or 3 Arzentown and then 1 or 2 Lesson Studio. But yeah, very decent stadiums. I would say Arzentown is definitely the one to look at because it just helps with consistency in EX decks as well as single prize decks. So definitely look out for this one. Be testing a lot as well. So yeah, good stadiums. And then the special energies to round off the review, we have Jet Energy and Luminous Energy. Jet Energy says when you attach this card from your hand to your bench Pokemon, you switch it with the active. So really nice in Lost Zone. So you could like use a Comfey in the active, attach this to a bench Comfey, move that Comfey to the active, and then pay the retreat cost and then switch or something. Like you could do a lot of switching stuff with Jet Energy. So I'm sure Lost Zone fans will really appreciate this one. Then we have Luminous Energy that provides every type of energy at 1. However, it cannot have any other special energy, otherwise it will stop working. So yeah, I mean, that's okay. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. This has been Emma Power. Let me know what you think down below. Some interesting set reveals. Definitely got some cool cards here.